and welcome to Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. In 2015, 98 Nigerians were admitted into the Canadian Skilled Migrant Program. By 2016, the number had gone up exponentially to 1,036. And by 2017, that figure had more than doubled. And that's to Canada alone through its legal program. We're not talking about the 11,000 plus Nigerians who were seeking asylum in the same Canada as at 2018, or the many others who are risking their lives through the Sahara and countries where there's no regard for them, all in search of greener pastures. For many of the elite left in the country, a lot of us have backup plans: second residency, second passports, regular checks abroad, and for those not so well-to-do, a constant search for opportunities abroad. The Nigeria coat of arms has as its motto, unity and faith, peace and progress. When we look at the statistics above and the actions and decisions we make every day, is there any faith left in the country? In the concluding part of our interview with Fashola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who is the current Minister of Works and Housing, I posed this question of faith to him, and here's what he has to say.
I think that's the heart of the matter, and I'm glad you raise this issue from this perspective. For me, first of all, every day is a day for reflection. Every day. Every day is a day for serious thinking. Every day is a day for serious introspection about where I am, where we are, where do we want to go, how do we get there. I think that there is a mindset change that is that we must have, a mindset change that owns what is ours, that values what is ours, and that projects what is ours as a matter of pride. And that is important. And I will speak to two vineyards as illustration here. I went to a farm here on the boundary of Abuja and Kaduna State. And the owner of the farm told me that, well, they supply certain types of vegetables and fruits and all that, but that our people won't buy them. So what the stores do is to stamp on the carton that those bananas and those peppers are imported, and then we pay for them. It's a mindset that we must get, because it's grown here. There's a mindset that we must get rid of. There's a mindset that things that are ours are not as qualitative as those that are Caucasian. There's a mindset that I refuse to subscribe to. You know, I had the opportunity to study abroad, and I thought that I prefer to live in Nigeria. I didn't like the weather. I didn't like the accommodation. I didn't like the food. And my position hasn't changed. And I won't carry another passport.
No, that's you.
No.
Would you seek it for your children, for
No,
instance?
I won't. My children were all born here. They were all raised here. Unfortunately, they had to take part of the education, university education abroad. But as soon as they're done, they're back.
I mean, the choice is theirs. You can't make that decision for them.
Well, unfortunately, when they become, the last one is now 18, so, well, as an adult, he can then decide where he wants to live, but he won't be seeing me there if he's not in Nigeria. So, but that is my perspective of my country. I don't want to go and apply for a work permit in another man's land to be able to work. And in the absence of a work permit, I don't want to be an illegal immigrant. And I want to be all that I can be. It's only in Nigeria that can give me this kind of opportunity that I have. That is my own personal belief. I love the weather here.
Somehow,
I love the food.
Somehow also, I mean, it has worked for you. I mean,
it has worked for many more people. And look, and we must continue now, we must, as a matter of mindset and consciousness, focus on those who are doing well, because that is what raises the hope.
Are we focusing on them? I think that this would take me directly even into your ministry of works and housing. You used to have power. I wanted to ask you how you felt about, no longer being referred to the Minister of Power, Works and Housing. But, while you can choose to answer that question alongside this one, are we really focusing on them? That youthful population, that population that, could be an asset to another country. And actively, you see more Nigerians applying for Canadian passports. See immigration.
For every Nigerian that is applying for Canadian passport, I think it's important for the Ministry of Interior to now focus and publish the number of foreigners who are applying for Nigerian citizenship every year.
That will be very interesting statistic.
Because I sit in council and I see the approvals being given. There are a lot of people applying for Nigerian citizenship every year. They have been applying since the 50s. So there are some people here who are not, they don't look like you and I, but they were born here. There's a second generation, a third generation is evolving. This is their home. They don't know other country. This is where they've made their fortunes. So go to the, what's the name of the family that owns 7-Up? What's the Shaguris, the Kumatarusis, the Leventises, the Mandilases, the Aswanis, the Vaswanis. There's a long list of them. This is their home. They don't know any other country. And they're investing here. The people who make Chivita, there are a lot of those stories here. The Jagar Group.
I'm trying to remember, I'm looking at what I'm saying.
And every year, Mr. President still considers those applications for citizenship in this country that some people don't like.
I'm trying to make a mental note now of what happens at the airports, what I see when I travel. I mean, I see more foreigners. It would seem, at the airports at the airport lounges, yes, of other countries. And of course, I still see an equal number. I don't see as many foreigners at our own airports.
That is explainable. That is explainable partly by the mindset thing that I have told you about. A mindset thing that we haven't projected and promoted our country as a tourist destination. It has tourist assets. And while every country has its own problems, right, as we do ours, in the city of London, people are queuing. They are desperate to get visas from here to go to city of London. But today, in the last 2 years or 3 years, people have been bombed in that city. People have been run over. People have been stabbed and killed.
The question is,
what let me.
I agree completely that this
so I'm
happen.
answering the question.
You don't even have to
that
go
we
to
haven't
let's
promoted.
Let's talk about France.
We haven't promoted.
The heart of France.
We haven't promoted Yankari. We haven't promoted all of our tourist reserves, Oshogbo, all of those things, Ikogosi, all of the assets of nature here, and we haven't developed them.
No,
so you won't see those footfalls until we begin to get the kind of tourist passengers that we certainly can have.
So that's one. I mean, the fact that we haven't developed them and we haven't promoted them.
The other point is that we scare people from our country.
How do we scare them?
We scare people from our country in the way that we report our tragedies and discuss them.
Is that the fault of journalists? No,
I didn't mention journalists. Are you feeling guilty?
I'm just certainly not. I'm just wondering.
I didn't mention journalists. I said we
journalists.
And I say that in a matter as a matter of collective responsibility. Every nation has its problems, but in the way that we discuss our problems, we must manage to ensure that all of what we put out doesn't occlude our positive side. That's the point. That's the point. Every city, people. I tell people that if you go to a part of California, Los Angeles, there's a group called MS-13 there. No American president has been able to dislodge them. It's the most violent group in the United States. But right there on close to it, that's where Hollywood is also, and you will buy tickets. So there are places in New York that I will not go to after 8 p.m. So there's the good and the bad in every part of the world. And perhaps we have overhyped, and it's a sense of duty that I've spoken to. a sense of projecting our strengths.
Is it really that we have overhyped, or we are not confident that the people who ought to be doing something about it are doing what they ought to do? Let me give you an instance of Paris, you know, in the days following the attacks that, you know, sent Paris on fire, put it that way. I mean, I'm sure it affected lots of tourists who wanted to go and see, say, Champs-Élysées or see the Eiffel Tower and things of the sort. But we also saw concerted efforts on the part of the government to do something about that, and also to reassure the populace that this will not happen again. In Nigeria, do we see that same drive, that same action? Do people feel reassured? Take a look at, say, Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. You see increasingly in the papers, this is not me reporting, I think Blueprint did a recent report, that even the elite are not able to go, despite their escorts, are not able to go on that road anymore. Everybody is now looking towards the trains and the coaches, which is not able to take the population that wants
also,
to go on that stretch.
If I may weigh, it also speaks to a mindset. It also speaks to a mindset, and how do you put it? Everything that is wrong in our society cannot be about God and government. It has to be also about our people. So if there is, and you will see in many communities that are attacked, the people who attack us are nowhere near us in terms of their actual numbers. But you see the response of some of those communities that our lives will not change because of criminals. We're going back there tomorrow. But what do? We take flight.
Are we giving our people the equipment to fight?
No. I'm not just talking of equipment to fight. You will see communities that have nothing to defend. They're just saying that criminals will not define our livelihood. We're going to operate as we used to. And in terms of positives, 5 years ago, Abuja, where you and I sit down, shut down at 7 p.m. Something has changed for the better. That's a story that we must project. 10, 15 years ago, when I took office as governor of Lagos, the economy virtually closed at 7 p.m. You couldn't buy fuel at 7 p.m. You can now. Pharmaceutical stores closed at 7 p.m. 2007. Not one street in Lagos could boast of street lighting after 7 p.m. Now it's taken for granted. We now complain when it's not working. So that's progress. So as I say to people, the camera can't see anything. The camera sees what the man behind the camera wants it to see. He can see angels or he can see devils. I continuously use my cameras to look for angels.
What is your plan? I want to ask you more. I know that works, the state of the roads is a big question, and of course there's a huge question on tolling as well. But let me ask you about housing first. What is your plan for housing, especially when you look at this, this master people whom we talk about could easily become assets in other countries?
Well, let me say first of all that the 262 billion was the number we got in council. Maybe some things have moved in the last day, but either here and there, it's not enough. But it speaks to our reality, and our reality is that Mr. President has said, and Mr. President's statement represents the collective decision of the Federal Executive Council, that we have to use our monies more efficiently now. Whatever is available based on our realities, what we owe, debt service that we must do, salaries that we must pay, borrowings that we must contract, must now be targeted towards optimizing existing and ongoing projects, finish them. So, and no amount of money will ever be enough, really and truly. So, it's now more targeted spending rather than this is all what we want to do.
So, what are the targets?
So, some of the targets are complete the critical A1 to A9 roads. The A1 to A4 are the roads that go from Lagos Port, Warri Port, Calabar Port, Port Harcourt Port, all the way to Sokoto and the border, to Kano, Katsina, to Maiduguri, and to Yobe. And the A5 to A9 are the roads that go from east to west, Kano, Maiduguri, all the way down to Mayo Belwa, Jada, and all of those type of roads, Lagos Abeokuta Road, and all, so that you can move goods from top to bottom and from east to west. If you complete that road, the entire network, and not all of it is bad, the entire network covers about 6,139 kilometers. So if you complete all of that, you will get Nigeria back moving in terms of efficiency of movement of goods and services. There are a few others that you need to deal with. In terms of housing, there's a lot going on in housing. We are executing our pilot project that we started in my first term, and we are at the stage where now we want to allocate the first set of houses that have been completed. We want to do it through a digital platform, something like we did with Lagos Homes back in Lagos, so that there's minimal human interference, and we want to use the national identity card management system as the basis for application. We want to also roll out opportunities for cooperatives. We see that cooperatives have been very prolific in some sectors, agri, transport. We think it can also be useful here, so we are going to encourage in housing. We think it can be useful so that people build for themselves with the support of government. They get their own land. We help do their designs, and we agree with them what they can build and all of that, and provide the infrastructure to support them. That's where we will be focusing on to do a lot of scale. We are also auditing, because we are getting all sorts of figures, 17 million people, 17 million homes deficit. That doesn't make sense. Nobody owns that number. Everybody to whom that number has been credited that have asked have denied it, but it's there. So, but we see that there is a housing deficit, but we are clear in our minds that it is an urban problem, not a rural problem. So we've inaugurated a team to do a study of the two most populous cities in each of the zones. Because we know also that there are empty houses in all those cities, even though there is scarcity. So the data will help us then better advise government how to bring those empty houses into the market to a place so that people can occupy them, because the solution is not just building alone, but also creating a match between market needs and market realities.
Just quickly, let me ask you this. You're married to a Christian, and you've been married for more than 20 years, I think about
26 years.
26 years. When you look at the pull and push and pull we see right now in our country with Christians and Muslims, especially during political seasons, and when almost every issue right now is being looked through the lens of religion, what are your thoughts, just quickly?
Well, there are two broad views. First of all, for those who think that there is a real divide between Christians and Muslims, I tell them, just go to the marriage registry on Thursday. Just go there, and you will see how irrelevant it is to those young men and women setting out on their life. They are marrying themselves. And you will see marriages from the south of Nigeria every Saturday. Check. So Igbo is marrying Yoruba, Yoruba is marrying Fulani, Fulani is marrying, it's going on. So those who want to divide the country are the ones hyping these things. People are getting on with their lives. I did a survey 2 years ago, I repeated it last year, asking people how they first saw themselves. In the heat of this restructuring, we want to go, and 72% of Nigerians said that they first saw themselves as Nigerians. The remaining 25%, and I can share that study with you, the remaining 25% were those who then saw themselves according to the region they came from, or their ethnic group, or their religion. 72% overwhelmingly said they see themselves first as Nigerians, nothing else. Those are numbers, they don't lie. Now, the other part of religion is...
especially when it comes to playing politics.
No, the other part of religion that I want to call is a belief system. A belief system that we must get rid of very, very quickly, because it is unhelpful to our developmental aspiration. I know that people will criticize me for this, but look, listen, there is enough work for God to do, but we haven't done our own share. So when our children pass, we thank God. When we build a house, we thank God. When we win a match, we thank God. When we do anything, in our daily conversations now, there is too much God. We should get to work. And that's something, it's a mindset thing. Because it then, in my view, it then doesn't give you confidence that you actually achieved everything, if everything was done by God. I know that God says work and pray, but are we working? So we want to win a match, a sports event. We don't prepare, we pray. No, it won't happen. We want to make money. God didn't make money. It's human beings who made money. It wasn't part of what he created on creation day. It's governments who made money. So don't go and pray for money. Go and work for money.
Honorable Minister, we have to go at this point. Thank you for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you for having me, Marpe.
That's the program tonight. If you missed the first part, watch online at channelstv.com/programs/hard copy. Next week, we'll take another perspective on the Nigerian question. But we also want to hear from you and your thoughts on Nigeria as she approaches 60. Please use the handles showing on your screen. Thank you for watching tonight. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. Good night.